Hello everyone, this is my second year of ArtFight and there's a lot to say about this actually, so let's get on. After the last ArtFight, I was a little bit on and off with the art community. Sometimes I was active, sometimes I was inactive, but around the time that ArtFight was happening, around June and July, I was very much like full swing back in the art community. And I had this idea where I'm going to do like one attack every day, so like 30 to 31 attacks. I saw some other YouTubers, they were thinking about doing 100 attacks. They were saying, like, I'm going to do 100 attacks through an art fight. And that's actually an insane number, especially when you do the maths, because if we assume each attack is 2 hours, then 2 times 100 is 200. 2 times 100 is indeed 200. And if we assume each week is a quarter of a month, then that is 50 hours of drawing a week, a 50-hour work week essentially. That is like more than a full time job. If you're doing 100 attacks a month, you're doing a full time job. And I guess if you're like a big YouTuber, if you have like 100k or maybe even like 50 or 60k subscribers, then yeah, I guess this is a full time job. I guess this is your job. But most people, it's not really. Throughout this month, even though I didn't get to my target, and I'll explain later why, I did do a lot of attacks. I think I may have spent like tens of hours doing attacks, just drawing away. It was pretty fun actually. I made some pretty cool stuff, like the drawing I'm showing you now, like the drawing I'm doing now. But the problem is I noticed I was making all of these attacks for all of my friends, all of these people, and they were really appreciative of it. But I was also not getting many revenges, like I don't know, I wasn't really getting attacked back for the stuff I was making. And I felt like I put so much hours of work into it, and it's like nothing really. And that was really demotivating. I know a lot of people like to say stuff like, you should draw for yourself and you should do it for yourself. You shouldn't worry about other people. And I get where they're coming at. Obviously, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But I guess validation. I mean, I do want some validation. It sounds kind of weird. It sounds like you shouldn't say that, but let's be real. Wanting validation, that's just natural. It's just human biology. For example, like in the prehistoric times, if you got validation, that means your status would rise. You'd get better food, so you're more likely to survive. You get better protection. You'd be more likely to find someone to start a family. All of that kind of stuff. The problem is that social media sometimes exacerbates. For example, if you see those YouTubers who spend like 168 hours on rendering a beautiful scene, and it looks really amazing, and all of that good stuff. If they had 5 subscribers, do you really think they would spend all of that time, dedicate all of that time on a massive undertaking, a massive project like that? Probably not. And I guess, like, philosophically, in the abstract, it is a nice idea, doing stuff for yourself and not worrying about what others think about you. And there's a reason why people want validation, like, and I guess in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with it. It can really help with confidence as well. And if you do get motivated by doing something for yourself, more power to you. I think it's really cool if that's the case. They are just like simplified models of the real world. And the real world, it's a very complex system. Another thing you may have noticed is that I'm using paint for this drawing. And you might be wondering why. You're like, why not use something like a real drawing program like Medibang or Krita or Clip Studio Paint? Actually, a lot of people have been telling me about Clip Studio Paint, and I really want to check it out. So, I might give that a try during like class or during lectures. The lecturer or the teacher will just go on about what they're teaching, and you might get bored. So you'll go on your notebook or your notepad or whatever it's called nowadays and do some doodles. Well, for me, I had my tablet, and what's the software that all of these Windows devices have? It's Paint, MS Paint. But one thing I noticed as well is that it's actually really good for practicing, for trying things out, and I feel like it's the closest thing to traditional. This might be a very controversial opinion. I think even more controversial than my idea of validation. Who knows? But think of it like this: you only have one layer. You don't have to worry about lag like Krita or Medibang. So there's that simplicity, and I think it's that simplicity which makes paint really nice to work with. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with me. If you have any ideas, drop a comment. I'd love to see what you guys think. I'd love to see you guys agree, but I'd be even more excited to see you guys disagree with me. But that being said, the Windows 11 version of Paint, I mean, that's absolute garbage. You can throw that away for like it's like the Windows 10 and earlier. That version of Paint is really good. And for myself, actually, my most favorite brush on Paint is, the pencil brush, the one that's like pixelated. Like I think it's the third thickness setting on the pencil is my most favorite. I feel like the fourth setting can be a little bit unstable, even though it's thicker. So the third setting is the best one for myself, in my opinion. So yeah, so here's what I ended up making. If you guys like it, let me know in the comments.